Morning, Mike. Your 2024 BEV Outlook report makes a few predictions, two of which I think are really worth dwelling on a little bit, which is profits and elections. So when will German OEMs turn a profit on a battery electric vehicle? And was the UK prescient in pushing back its EV aspirations?
Hi, Rod. Yes, so firstly on BEV profitability. So this certainly is going to be an issue for all automakers in the medium term, or all legacy automakers. And that's given that first generation BEVs are generally low margin or low profitability. And this was highlighted by Ford recently, saying that they're going to lose another $5 billion on their EVs alone this year. And that's on top of a similar amount the previous year. The situation is slightly better for German OEMs because they have better pricing points, but they will still have low margins. And they're going to be further depressed because subsidies are being reduced in Germany and the UK. And also, we believe Tesla is going to do whatever it needs to do in terms of pricing to fill new capacity in Germany. On a longer term basis, we use our profit bridge to predict that ICE, so internal combustion engine profitability, which includes hybrids, will continue to dominate industry profitability even into the end of the decade.
Okay, if we focus on China just for a second as well, we hear that they're increasing manufacturing capacity across the board, and that's obviously likely to extend into all things EV and everything that entails. So given the tariff regimes that exist in Europe and the US, is China just making a millstone for its own neck?
Well, China is certainly a BEV leader in the technology, in terms of the supply chain, and also in terms of the production. And that's given that it has significant BEV demand within China itself, about 25% market share for BEVs last year. We think that's going to grow significantly over the next couple of years. There will be casualties in that market because it's very price competitive. But what other regions have to do is have to build up their own battery capacity. What they're doing in the US, that's with the help of the IRA Act. We're also doing something similar in Europe. So this is going to improve local production, but it's going to prove difficult in the medium term because China still accounts for 80% of lithium refining. And then in terms of tariffs, in the US, there's a 25% import tariff for cars from China. That could be increased under a Trump administration if he wins the election later this year. In Europe, that tariff is only 10%. So that is a risk, but that's under review because there's currently a probe by the EU into unfair subsidies enjoyed by China or Chinese domestic players. And therefore, that tariff could be increased to stop China dumping cheaper EUs into the region.
And we hear an awful lot about the challenges in electric vehicles. And when we think about Europe and EV growth into 2024, I think your view is it slows. So for our listeners, what's the next positive catalyst that they should be latching on to?
Well, first of all, we do expect BEV growth to decelerate, but automakers do need to sell more BEVs into Europe because there's new WLT rules coming into play in 2025, which means they need to sell more BEVs. However, the next real catalyst to get sort of BEV supply and demand going will be the launch of next generation platforms by legacy automakers in 2026 to 2027. These will have proprietary software, will have enhanced battery technology, and they'll also have better economies of scale. So on one hand, they're going to be more profitable for the automakers, so they want to sell more. And then for consumers, because they will have extended battery range, they will want to buy them and will have less range anxiety. They'll also be cheaper.
Great, Mike, thanks very much. We'll keep an eye on that point in time. It'll be interesting to see if it lives up to expectations. Appreciate your time. Thank you.
Thanks.